if you have, if you're on a plan that allows for roles and permissions, then you will be able to, when you go to settings, you'll see that roles is enabled, and I can click on this to start adding role. So first of all, what is a role? Roles are useful when you have users in your account that create proposals or have access in some way to Proposify, not clients, and you want to be able to decide what that person is allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. So by default, when you create somebody or add a user to the account, if there's no role set up, then they are an admin by default. So if I go to roles and permissions here, I can see admin is a role and it's locked. I can't edit that or delete it. You can't delete the admin role. So if I add somebody new, they're going to be an admin. Now, what if I wanted to create another role that didn't allow for as much as an admin? If I was to do that, I would click new role. And let's say that I want a role called sales manager. I'll create that name, and now we can start deciding what sales managers are allowed to do. So do we want them to edit the account settings at all? Do we want them to do some of this stuff? I think so. Maybe not let them edit team settings or email settings. But yes, we want them to edit tags, integrations, default currency, yes, sure, font library. Okay, we'll turn that on. Do we want them to view metrics? This will say yes. Now, here it says only their team's metrics. Now, what I'm going to do is there's another video that will talk about teams. So for now, let's just leave this and just say, do we want them to view metrics? Sure. Same thing with clients. Do we want them to add, edit, and delete clients? Yes, they can do that. Content library permissions. View users. Yes, they can view all users. Maybe we don't want them to add or edit or delete users. Maybe we can turn that off. Client library permissions. Do we want them to add, edit, and delete sections? Yes. Fees. Sure. All of this stuff. We want them to edit the content library. Do we want them to be able to view templates? Yes. Do we want them to be able to add, edit, and delete templates? Yes. Permissions. Can they view all the proposals? Okay. And we want them to be able to assign proposals, sign them, edit the design. Maybe we don't want to let them do that because we only want admins to be able to edit the proposal designs. Deleting proposals and voiding them and using integrations, yes, we'll let them do that. Require approval before sending? No, we're not going to require them to approve proposals before sending them. And edit preview settings and send reminders? Yes, we'll let them do that. So this is a sales manager. This is what we're going to save. Now let's create another another role, and this is going to be even further below sales managers, called sales agent. And so this is going to be the most restricted role. So what I'm going to do is turn off all edit account settings. We don't want any sales agent. This is just somebody who all they do is just work on their own proposals and send them, and we don't really want them to have access to anything. So we're going to turn all metrics. We're going to come back to these ones that say only their teams once we go over teams in another video. And under library permissions, no, we definitely don't want them adding, editing, or deleting sections or fees or snippets. That's all going to be done by sales managers. They can view templates, but we don't want them adding, editing, or deleting them. Proposals. They can view only their own proposals. We don't want them even seeing anybody else's proposals but theirs. They can't assign them to someone else. They can't sign them. And they can't edit the design. Or we don't want them deleting them, voiding them. Yeah, we'll let them use integrations. And then when it comes to sending, before they send a proposal, I actually want them to require a sales manager to approve it. So I'm going to check that on. And then it says select an approving role. So I'm going to select sales manager. So then that way, when somebody who's a sales agent tries to send a proposal, it'll first require a sales manager to approve it. Finally, I'm going to turn off edit settings, and I don't want them sending reminders. The sales manager can do that if they want. So this is a very locked down role. So we're going to save this role, and so now you can see we have admins, sales agents, and sales managers. So now if we go over to users, we see that I've actually invited a few users into my account. So I'm the account owner. So I'm of course an admin, but I'm going to select some roles for these other people. So I'm going to edit Ricky here, and under you see that there's a role drop down field. He's an admin currently. I actually don't want him to be one. I want him to be a sales manager. And Sandra and Nick, I'm going to make them both sales agents. So that is it. Now when one of those people sign into their account, we'll see what they can see. So actually let's sign in under, okay, so I want to show you what the software actually looks like if you're logged in as a person who is not an admin or not the account owner. So what I did was I had created an account. I'm calling myself Kevin Springer, although it's the wrong face. And I'm logged in as Kevin Springer is a sales agent. So if I go, well, actually I can't see my role because I can't see my role. So now that I'm logged in as Kevin, Kevin is a sales agent. So very restricted settings. So what do I see now as Kevin, the sales agent? I see this welcome to Proposify because I'm only allowed to see my own proposals. So I don't actually have the ability to see other people's proposals. So I can go through and I can click on a template and use a template that I'm allowed to see, and the due date and the client. Now I cannot actually assign somebody else because I don't have those permissions, but so let's click next steps. And there we go, I can create this proposal. Now I can add sections, but they won't be added to the library because I don't have that permission. I can import content from the library. Now what happens if I try to send it? Well, you see now because I'm a sales agent, I don't have a send button. I have a request approval. So if I click request approval, it shows me a sales manager in the drop down to send it to. And actually it'll show me all the sales managers to notify, but I've only got one and it's Ricky. So I'm going to send that request to get approved. So there we go. I've got now my proposal sitting and waiting to be approved. And you'll see here the navigation is quite a bit simplified from what an admin would have. I have metrics that I can look at. I have users, I have clients, and I have resources. But I do not have the ability to edit any settings. And I also don't have the ability to delete. So there's probably more to go over here, but this gives you a basic idea of what roles and permissions are and how they work. And if you have the Teams feature, you should also watch that video. We're going to go more into how Teams work with roles and permissions.